Welcome to season 2 of Let's Talk About Health in Africa with me, Lenias Hwenda. After a short break, we are back with the Titans of Industry podcast series where we are bringing you the movers and shakers who are transforming Africa's vaccine manufacturing sector to share with us some of the work that they are doing.
Today, we are continuing our conversation with the Managing Director of Afrigen Biologics and Vaccines, Professor Petro Terblanche, and we are talking about Afrigen's approach to developing products and taking those products to market. So tune in.
So we are a young company with a lot of things going, but ready to engage in significant business-to-business engagement.
Let's jump onto mRNA vaccines just to explain to our viewers what they are and why all the hype around mRNA vaccines. Perhaps the one thing to mention, I think, is that messenger RNA vaccine technology has been around for quite some time, at least a decade, during which human clinical trials using mRNA vaccines against cancer were being done, going as far back as 2011. So they've been tested in people. Important to mention here, not in Africa. They've been tested in the West. And so scientists know a lot about them. And we know that they are perfectly safe. And of course, Moderna and BioNTech are the first sort of mRNA vaccines to reach licensing, to go through the development process and get licensed. What I'm trying to get into is why it took so long to bring mRNA vaccines onto the market. It was because they are rapidly degraded. When you inject them, they are broken down before they can generate an immune reaction. So what is important then to deliver an mRNA vaccine is to have a delivery system, right, for making sure that they are not immediately broken. They stick around long enough, at least, to generate an immune response before they are broken down. So coming back to Afrigen, is this one of the things that you have to offer? You are working on formulations which are focusing on delivery system. Does Afrigen have a delivery system that helps to mask and cloak mRNA so that when it's injected, it has time to generate an immune response? Is that one of the capabilities that you already have?
Thank you for bringing this home to the absolute essence of Afrigen and why we were created and what we've done in the first 2 years of our existence. So Afrigen is essentially a formulation platform. We created the first adjuvant formulation facility on the African continent here in Cape Town in 2018. So Afrigen was founded by one of our founding organizations was the Infectious Diseases Research Institute based in Seattle. And IDRI has a library of novel adjuvants, excipients, but also multiple formulation processes to stabilize these adjuvants, to ensure maximum safety, maximum immune responses, trigger different immune responses required by different types of vaccines. So that was, and I should have said it earlier, for the WHO and reviewing the proposals from the consortium, this was important. We already have a lab here with all the tools you need to make nanoparticles, to make liposomal particles, to make stable emulsions or stable formulations for a number of entities, vaccines or adjuvants or single molecules, complex mixtures. So Afrigen is very keen now to use our formulation capabilities and the depth of knowledge that we've developed, and also even new adjuvants that we've developed, to apply this to the drug substance that we've made in the WITS laboratories. So we very, very well geared to do some formulation work. interesting just to share with you, in 2019, Afrigen was part of the Global Oncology Initiative that was launched in South Africa at the Africa Convention, focusing on mRNA technology for application in oncology. So we've been in this space in the background quietly as a small startup company for some time, and now we have an opportunity to really work with the difficult part, because you're absolutely right. mRNA platforms are not new, and it's a fantastic production platform. It is cost effective, it's versatile, it scales. It's the formulation component to ensure that we have a stable drug product going into humans. And that's our passion. That's where African scientists are. If you want to see their eyes lit up, you must tell them to formulate something.
Well, I'm very excited just listening to you. I'll be knocking on your door looking for a job, Prof. This is super exciting. I mean, and if Afrigen has a delivery system and all of these formulations that you're talking about that, you know, really helps you to deliver a stable mRNA product, I think that's a massive game changer that really sets Afrigen up for a lot of potential and possibilities in the future. So this is massively exciting. And yeah, if you have a job, I think I'll be the first in line for a job. So
please come, because we also have a popcorn machine.
Well,
I have to share this with you. We're a startup company, so the first plant, when we built our facility last year, the first plant we commissioned was the popcorn machine.
You know, that seals it for me. I'm sold. You've sold it. The technology exciting, the popcorn machine, that's it. I'm in, definitely. So yeah, Prof, so can you just explain to us why mRNA technology is particularly suited for Africa's needs and for the African continent? Why is this technology a suitable path to follow?
I think the general view are, and I've recently seen a paper from the MSF, Medicine Sans Frontiers, on why mRNA technology would be suitable. And of course, there's a lot in the science and a lot in the media, and we've heard Moderna talking about the 17-step synthesis for a very complex process. However, I think the general understanding also from my scientists is that this is very versatile. It's a very cost-effective production system if you get the formulation right. And our challenge is still to get to thermostability and get to 4 to 8 degrees, or even better, get to a room temperature stable vaccine. That will be very good for Africa. It scales well and it scales out. You have modular, so you have flexibility in what you build. It's not a hugely expensive platform to establish because most our platforms that we've worked in Afrigen is microbial, and because this is expression in E. coli systems, this is something that we felt that we could really capitalize on. And for Africa, I think this is very future relevant, because the other component is we need a platform that allows us to do rapid development, and mRNA provides that. So if all together, if Africa had to make a choice to establish platforms for future relevance, mRNA just ticks all the boxes.
Absolutely. I think the cost-effective component especially is very important. And of course, the thermostability, we will, come to that in a moment. So, but you talk about the cost-effectiveness. What would you say to those people who say, as a critic, that this technology is far too expensive and not suitable for needs in resource-limited settings, citing the current existing vaccines being the most expensive, the mRNA ones?
I think we must understand why they are the most expensive at the moment. There's only 2 suppliers, and we are. It's a really rapid, fast track development. There will be opportunity to do it more cost effectively. I believe that's part of the development that we also have to look at. How do we ensure this is affordable? Yes. Maybe I have a simple mind. I just don't see things being impossible. I've heard the debates around how will Africa be sustainably produce these vaccines. We should have only one facility that produces 1 billion doses. I think the unit economics for mRNA facilities have changed. I think the unit economics for vaccine facilities have changed. The same is happening with single-use reactor technologies in the production of monoclonal antibodies or biosimilars. I want to challenge the paradigms of the business and analysts and the financial modelers to look at the unit of economics of a facility that produces only 50 million vials or 20 million vials, and tell me why it cannot be sustainable in a market of 1.6 billion people to be vaccinated on this continent. I think that will be, actually, in fact, I think that will be a great business school project to run by a few MBAs as quickly as possible. Let's challenge those paradigms that this is unaffordable technology.
Absolutely. Pushing boundaries, challenging paradigms, that's certainly something that's needed. There are so many paradigms, I think, at the moment that need to be questioned and pushed so that we can try to come up with better solutions than we've had. But I think, this technology also gives, puts in your hands tremendous agility. You dispense with the need for the virus in order to develop a vaccine. So all you need is a virus isolated from sick patients and to have it sequenced. So you have the viral genome sequenced and you're good to go. I mean, for Moderna, it took them just over a month to produce a vaccine from the time they had the sequence released from Wuhan to having something that could actually start going into clinical trials. So I think this really is a very exciting technology, especially for outbreak responses where speed is particularly important, and of course for all the other reasons that you mentioned. So how far are you from a thermostable mRNA or something that can be kept at room temperature, for example? Is that something that's not far in the horizon?
No, we're not at proof of concept. And I have to say, one of the partners that we're hoping to engage may be able to add to our knowledge base to move this more rapidly. We have concepts and we have the toys in our labs to be able to work with it. And of course, we now have a drug substance that we will start doing dabbling. As the scientists are saying, we're going to start dabbling. And we have ideas, but we hope also to have a partner that can help fast track us. And we have this one or two companies that would certainly be able to contribute to that. And we hope that those we would be able to get those to participate.
I'm sure in the long term, you're looking to have your own R&D pipeline where you have products that are coming up that will go into development. But the fastest route to product right now is to work with a partner who already has a vaccine, hopefully one that has marketing authorization already. Do you already know who is providing the IP that's going to get you started, at least in the vaccine production? Do you already have a partner? And will you, as Afrigen, be doing your own bilateral negotiations with potential partners, or are you going to rely on the competencies of the WHO, the Medicines Patent Pool, and others in interfacing with technology owners?
So I think very important from Afrigen's side is to work in very close teamwork with the WHO and Medicines Patent Pool. We would not engage into bilateral discussions with any licensed providers because we believe that would be counter and contrary to the spirit of this partnership. We rely on Medicines Patent Pool, WHO, to lead us there. Of course, we participate. We have started discussions with partners in October last year, and hence why we built the facility, which now is being dedicated to this cause. We hope that we would, in the very near future, be able to have concrete agreements with partners. In the meantime, we're making an mRNA drug substance. Sequences are available. We have the capability and the competence. So we make copies of these vaccines while there are discussions ongoing around intellectual property rights. We have quite significantly competent scientific and bioprocessing engineers in this country that we're now pulling together. So we're not waiting. The short answer is we're not waiting for a license agreement to be signed before we start making some of these making a drug substance and a drug product based on a sequence that we know we can access. We can make a plasmid if we need to. The capability exists in South Africa. Yeah, and that's part of fast tracking. Interesting, we are talking to a number of partners. The current market authorized vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer, is maybe more difficult, but we're talking to partners who have platforms and who have vaccine candidates in development. So we have not restricted our discussions to one or two companies. We've put it a bit broader. Now, of course, this is a sensitive topic because there are so many moving parts and there are so much vested interest in different parties. But yeah, I think the important thing is we are not waiting for a license agreement to be signed to start working and to learn.
But it sounds like there's some low-hanging fruits already. If you already have an mRNA product that you're working on in-house, that's awesome. That's really excellent. And it sounds like the likely profile, the lowest hanging fruit in terms of a potential partner would be a developer who already has developed an experimental mRNA vaccine for coronavirus or for something else, but perhaps who hasn't achieved a licensed product yet. Perhaps people like CureVac, the German biotech, or Translate Bio, which is a partner of Sanofi Pasteur. Would you say that that would be a low-hanging fruit in terms of the pathway to achieving this?
These are definitely the low-hanging fruits. There are about 4 or 5 potential partners. And you're right, because the incentive for them is this will fast track. And this will give them access, and they have much less to lose in a way than the Pfizers and the Modernas. I still hope that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are good vaccines. They're really, really good vaccines. I still hope that they will reach out and enter into an agreement with us that will not affect their share value, and will create the sustainability, fast track sustainability that we really want.
Absolutely. Well, you can always hope for the best case scenario, but in the meantime, I think the wonderful thing is that you're able to move already with what you have. You're not holding out for the big thing that would be nice to achieve, but might be more difficult to achieve. So the technology transfer is a very lengthy process. It's complex, it's expensive, and it requires a lot of hand-holding, massive investment of time and resources on the part of the partner. In the case of BioVac, for example, they had a bilateral agreement with Sanofi to make Hexasim for expanded program of immunization that they are making right now. And in your consortium, in this partnership, you have so many parties with very diverse interests, possibly serving different masters in terms of their governance and who they report to. Will this weaken or strengthen the potential for success of your project? And do you think it might influence the willingness of potential partners to come on board, or it's really going to encourage them to come on board?
Yeah, I think you're raising a very, very important point. And I'm saying this with great compassion and tongue in cheek. We're herding cats here.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So it is complex. It is, I am, because we delivery orientated. We look at efficiencies. I look at cost efficiencies. I look at pathways, and I'm looking at minimize wastage. So we're very efficiently driven because, Afrigen is a biotech startup company. We don't have the luxury to have too many loose ends.
Yes.
But we also have so the complexity of the multiple parties, the universities, the MRC, this wonderful consortium of learned and technical and scientists is the third objective, and it's a long-term 10-year program. The focus on the immediate first steps, get this hub going, get the technology transfer, make the first drug product and get it into clinical trials is actually quite focused. This is Afrigen and the tech transfer partner. Biotech is in a way parallel participating, and the regulatory people. It is actually incredibly focused. So I realized when you asked the question that we're painting a picture of these multiple universities and science councils, and it looks incredibly chaotic. That is the third objective, and that's being managed. That's where we manage that very carefully, and there's a lot of dynamics. But the first objective is incredibly focused.
Fantastic.
So Afrigen has put this first scientist on this project. Afrigen with which university? These are the two closed partners are already in training. We've made the drug substance. We will formulate. We will make a drug product. So I think that's very important for people listening to this to understand that there is a focus component, because that's the way we're going to deliver. And you're right, that will also bring bigger comfort to whoever provides the technology, that it will be controlled and managed.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it sounds like it's a roadmap, starting with a very specific focus, with a tight group of partners who are young like Afrigen and agile and knows how to move a product to market, and eventually, gradually, in later stages, bringing in additional partners to expand the scope of the work being done.
Yeah, it is parallel processes. So while the scientists are putting the longer term program together, we are also driving the first deliverable. So it is three parallel lines, but it's carefully managed, and it is challenging, but it's also very, very exciting.
Yes. Well, there are never any simple answers to a lot of these complex challenges, and I'm sure you are managing it the best way possible to make it work, to set it up for success. So let's talk about the marketplace. You have already invested about 130 million rand, the equivalent of $9 million in building your own ultra-sterile facility that you mentioned at the beginning was already there and was part of the package you presented in terms of why you made the most suitable company to lead this at the beginning. And you will have a capacity of about 30 to 50 million doses a year, I understand. And the global marketplace is a pretty competitive place at the moment because of the demand for manufacturing components and production inputs are very, very high. I heard the CEO of Moderna talking about how incredibly difficult it is to get equipment and all those elements that you need to get a factory and keep a factory running. Has this in any way affected your efforts to get your facilities finished and fitted with the right equipment in time for you to meet the timelines that you have to get started?
So yes, the lag time for equipment, yes, certainly. We've already seen that. We're waiting for a bioreactor now, 2 months overdue. But again, there is a pulling together now of governments, private sector, and suppliers in India, Europe, and the United States. That it's a strange thing. It's almost as if there's the vision that we've created and what we're driving for, it resonates with other organizations and other people. And I think it's also part of the global ethics debate. How do we ensure that we create this capacity on this continent? So it is a challenge for us, and therefore the R&D group, again, the group that's a multiple consortia, as one or two groups that looking at the concept of a biofoundry, already looking at enzymes. We have, South Africa is has some of the best organic chemists on the globe. We have very good scientists already looking at, can we produce some of these critical raw materials internally? I can share that large companies like Thermo Fisher Scientific is really supporting us and trying to fast track to get us critical equipment. But yes, it is a bottleneck that we have to maneuver through and that we will have to manage.
It is the nature of the environment, and you just have to sort of negotiate your way through it and work with partners that you've already got on board who are going to support your rapid completion of your facilities.
We have reached the end of part 2 of our conversation with Professor Petro Terblanche, the Managing Director of Afrigen Biologics and Vaccines. And the last part of our conversation, we will be talking about Afrigen's product in one of the fastest growing sectors globally, and the opportunity that Afrigen presents to investors and other partners who may wish to work with them.